Talk to me about where you were as a speaker, what you were looking to do, what you were struggling with, and what you got out of working with me, how that was helpful and how that shows up.
I was very confident as a speaker already. I think a big part of it was I'm in a season of my life where I love to admit and hate to admit that I need coaching. And it's a very humbling thing because when you feel that you have a natural and innate ability to do things, you don't necessarily know your blind spots. And the opportunity to work with someone who cared about what I have to say, who I related to on a personal level, who also embodies a lot of the same attributes from a philosophical to a physical to a mental perspective and is a very articulate individual, knows how to capture and convey a message, knows how to distill a message, knows how to listen and empathize and create space for the growth that I was trying to achieve. Underestimated the value in working with someone who cares and was able. The first time we connected at a run club and you told me what you do, we had like caught up, we were chatting afterwards, I think like through Instagram or whatever it was, but we met in person. And when you told me what you do, I was like, I don't really need like a vocal coach. I don't even know what the market is for something like that. And to say I didn't take it seriously isn't fair because I respect what everybody does, but to say that I didn't need it because I gave so much credibility to my real life experience, standing up in court, having stood up in front of hundreds of people many a time, but now entering this new phase where I want to be a speaker and deliver a message that helps inspire, motivate, and improve the quality of life for people, I was lost in how to capture that message. And you did a great job of showing me how I can take the audience on a journey from Joe lawyer to Joe super lawyer. And that became a framework and a roadmap for me to explore. We'd go through intonations, we'd go through cadence, we'd go through all of the low hanging fruit that in Michael's world is probably a lot more impactful as a opera singer. But for me, how my voice carried throughout the room was less of a focus than how I capture my message and how it resonates with the audience. And so my personal experience in working with Michael was being able to capture that message in a way that was relatable, authentic, and I could continue to bounce ideas off of and get feedback from in a very open and ready format. And Michael was very much that person for me.
I love to hear it, dude. And even just hearing you talk about your experience yesterday speaking is just shows the proof is in the pudding. And you're such an ideal client because nobody does the work like you. Nobody accepts the challenge and runs headfirst into it like you do. So actually, maybe that's a good thing to dig into. Can you share a little bit about what yesterday was like and how what we worked on in our sessions carried into that?
The main thing that carried in from our sessions was the ability to take the audience on a journey. For me, it was how do I place the audience in a setting that they can follow through a story and taking them through my story in an entertaining way without leaving any details on the table and feeling like I captured what was most important, the transformation was a big part of what we talked about. It was the ability to see the entire storyline and capture the main moments in that storyline and hold the audience's hand through that experience. So we focused on that blueprint of Joe lawyer to Joe super lawyer, and understanding that frame helped me understand my responsibility in capturing the audience's attention, but more importantly, keeping the audience's attention. And so that's where our sessions really made a difference. Just being able to bounce off those ideas around what does and doesn't work. Running through the whole presentation before I delivered it virtually live, delivered tens and tens of presentations. This specific one I've done around, I prepped it, I don't know, probably 20 plus times at this point. I've delivered it in this format as of yesterday was the first time. But on this topic, I've done 10 to 15. But yesterday, I finally stepped into the avatar and the character and the essence of what I wanted to deliver when I see myself on stage as a vision in my mind's eye. And you helped me bring that to life.
Music to my ears, dude. If you can see it, it goes to show if you can see it, it's in there somewhere, and it can be real. What about outside of vision for just vision for the podcast, vision for speaking? How has any of the work that we've done together, has that shown up or been impactful in personal situations or professional career situations?
I think a big part of the dynamic between that we're very like-minded. It's really shown up when I'm physically training, being consciously self-aware, which manifests in the form of more self-awareness, meaning understanding push-pull muscles and how I can use my back to bench press more effectively or my chest to pull more effectively. All of these subtle little things you may not notice on a session to session basis, but in the overall grand scheme of things, when you look back and see the results, planting these ideas in the back of my mind have created more self awareness and in turn delivered a better performance. So it's less here's the one off where it played a direct role, and it's more of the indirect application of the principles that we talked about through multiple conversations over the course of the last year and a half that have manifested in the form of the result that I'm proud to share yesterday, impacting over 40 lawyers and delivering a high quality experience for every soul.
I have no doubt, and I want to hear this recording very badly. So please send it ASAP. Also,
Yeah.
you are looking insanely jacked. Like you have, I would say, successfully made your antagonists a synergist in every movement. Bravo. Also,
My man.
espresso enjoyer.
Yeah.
So, what would you go back and say to Jonathan in January looking at these speeches, or Jonathan starting to communicate a message and really find and unleash his voice? If you were going to be teaching him, what would you say to him?
You have to find that story and you have to do the work. You know the story. You have to be able to communicate it in a way that puts the audience in the place that you want to take them. Sharing the ideas is great and the value can be there. But ultimately, there's a massive delta between the transformation that I've made and where people are at. And I lost sight of that relatability for a while. And to put myself back in a position that I felt I spent so much time growing from, almost to the point that, well, not almost to the point, it's that I've become unrecognizable to that person, to that kid. It can be very humbling to step back into those shoes just for the sake of helping someone else. So I would encourage that Jonathan to really make a conscious effort, which can only be done by continually preparing and exploring what the story looks like in multiple scenarios, which means you're going to have to run a lot, walk a lot, think a lot, drive a lot, be in your own thoughts a lot, and consciously bring that intentional thought sequence to the top of your mind of how do I want to help people and how do I want to communicate the way I want to help people while sharing my story in a way that I know can inspire them and relate to them if they give me a chance. Because all the things that I've done from professional accolades to personal account, it's gotten to a point where it's more admiration than appreciation or relatable in a way that people can go and take action on. Knowing that is important, but how do you communicate it in a way that can help people make a transformation for themselves? And that's been the struggle through content, through speaking, that I've come so far that I'm not able to help anyone. And that wasn't the mission. The mission is to help, is to serve. And so I had to tap back into that persona in order to understand those feelings again and articulate those insecurities of not feeling enough, having a negative feeling, of feeling insecure, of people pleasing, of self sabotaging in subtle and not so subtle ways, and then reverse engineering the formula that's required in order to become who I've become. This speaker, podcaster, attorney, whatever you want to call it, or active.
A true polymath and master of many crafts.
Thank you, man. And like that part is, you know, I'm 35 now. I was 18 when I started, and like almost 20 years worth of like putting in the work, and somehow people think it looks effortless, but like it's not. So
The when you watch a master of the craft, you're like, I could do that. Make it look so easy.
that's what a lot of it felt like yesterday, man. It was just like being comfortable in my own skin, like fully knowing that the person who introduced me was like a Yale Law grad judge who's overcome plenty of adversity himself. And then to get up and share a story and like impact as many people as I did to the level that I did, and to get feedback to that effect was, even if it was one person, but it wasn't, it was like it was at least 2/3 of the room. And you just can tell, like, based on how many people are picking up their phone, how many people are keeping eye contact, how many people are getting up and walking out, how many people care. Like you can just tell in those things. So for me, that's the insight I'd offer a younger me. Get ready to run, get ready to walk, get ready to think, get ready to do the work, and the results will come. And you're not even done now. You're gonna have to iterate this version of it too. But I slept well last night, even though I got back late and I woke up and I still train and I did what I need to do, right? So it was a good experience.
What are you seeing as could be possible for you now on the horizon that yesterday morning, until you had that experience, you weren't able to see?
So I've been feeling this for, I would say, a little over a week. And I've been pretty excited to deliver yesterday's because I knew that it would be a massive opportunity in front of a really important audience and an opportunity for me to show me what I can do. So what I see to be possible now is everything I've already known to be possible. It's just a matter of how the speed at which I'm gonna go. I know how to deliver this thing from scratch better than anybody else ever could. And that's just what I believe, because whatever conversation someone would say, I have another 50 to 100 that I could go back to. And so I've been able to create this compilation of my content from interviews of high performers, personal experience, hundreds of books, my continuing education of continually reading, interviewing new experts, coming up with new frameworks and testing old ones and challenging old ones, going back, re-listening to old conversations, extracting information that I didn't even pick up the first 2 or 3 times I'd listened to a conversation. So consistently going back and doing those things to see, depending on the audience, how I can impact them, and knowing the audience and how I can impact them, if it's attorneys or hairstylists or high performers or high school kids, staying in touch emotion and being emotionally intelligent enough to know where the audience is at and meet them where they're at, and continually refining my craft so I can enunciate better, so I can deliver better, so I can resonate with them better. So for me, it's always about how can I give, how can I serve.
What what would you say is the value for a person in finding and unleashing their voice professionally, personally, in any way?
The most important thing is knowing what you're talking about. Having that kind of confidence is not replaceable by artificial intelligence, by any kind of medium that's out there. And the only person that can give that gift to you is you. You can work with all the experts, you can read all the books, but if you don't do anything about it, right? If you don't take any action, nothing is going to happen or transpire. Going to conferences, working with professionals, all thought exercises are meaningless unless you test these things. And the power in finding your own voice is stand for, so you can experience life at the highest levels instead of leaving opportunity on the table. And so if you don't capture what it feels like to be the best you in a bottle and realize that it's constantly evading you. That even if you have shredded abs or you deliver an incredible keynote or you had a great day at work or a great day with your family, whatever the thing is that you're constantly chasing on a daily basis, it's like lightning in a bottle. It's not yours to keep. You have to give it away. And then you have to come back and you got to earn it again. And it's the same thing I talk about resilience in that same way, where it's not this medal that you get and you wear and you have forever. It's a skill, it's a practice. It's something you have to do on a daily basis. And if you don't practice it, it will evade you. I've run thousands of miles and I'm still someone who doesn't want to run. I ran every single day for the last week. I didn't run today. And I'm like, oh God, is there something wrong with me? I'm not even, And it's like, this stuff, it doesn't, yes, I can rationalize into why I didn't run and blah, blah, blah. And tomorrow I'll run this and the next day and the next year and the next 5 years. Like, I still have ambitious goals. The point is, when you capture your voice and you know what you stand for, you play a different kind of game. You play an infinite game that allows you to solve bigger problems, that allows you to feel comfortable in your own skin, that allows you to make informed and conscious decisions, that allows you to serve, that allows you to create and add value. Those are things that only the best get to do. And maybe you don't want to be the best, and that's okay. But why wouldn't you want to be the best? And that doesn't have to mean the best of whatever your field of interest is. It just means being the best you. And that is not replaceable. And that's not something you can put a price on.
It is our duty to realize our potential and offer it up in service. Incredibly well said. All right, brother. Last question. Who would you recommend to come and work with me, and why?
Well, I think what's interesting about your skill set is it's very adaptable. So some people that want to feel more comfortable in a boardroom, in a courtroom, on stage, or at the dinner table, they all require a different set of skills. But at the foundation, it's kind of all the same. And so you do a very good job of meeting people where they are at and speaking to them at their level. So, as deep of a thinker as you are, you also know how to scale things accordingly, up or down. So, obviously, it's not for everybody because not everybody wants to speak on stage. But I would say any young men that are looking for ways to experience more confidence, more certainty, more impact in how they go about delivering a message and how they articulate that message would be worth having a conversation with you just to think differently and challenge their current ideas. Because if they're not challenging their ideas, they're not thinking big enough. And then there's no room for improvement and you'll be stuck in the same place, which means you'll inherently be upset because you're not experiencing any change, and change gets you closer to who you're supposed to be. So at the end of the day, I think it comes down to you being able to meet people where they're at, and that is the biggest takeaway. So it's not one specific avatar as much as it is people who want to have their thoughts challenged in a way that helps them perform at a better level, whether it's being able to articulate themselves at a dinner party or to a group of thousands. That's how I would recommend they get in touch with you.
Dude, thank you. And in your case, millions.